Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's another season of SSC examinations and people have started enrolling already. Okay, so it's just wise that we begin to prepare on time. Okay, so that before that time, we must have been ready for the examination. Okay, so that is why in this video, we're going to talk about Waec Biology 2025. So the forthcoming Waec is what we're going to be talking about. Now, we're going to be looking at technicalities in biology. So before I continue, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please make sure to do so and put on the notification button so that you will be aware or you'll be notified when I drop more videos like this that will be helpful for your examination. All right. So before I begin, people often say that biology is easy, is simple, but we have come to discover and data has shown that people have more of B's and C's in biology WAEC than A's. We have more of the A's in mathematics and others. But when it comes to biology, we have more of B's. So very few persons get an A1 in biology. And I will tell you why. It is just the technicalities that are involved in biology WAEC. So these little things can take away marks from you. And let's talk about them. The first is spelling. Now, when it comes to spelling in biology, we don't compromise. We don't compromise spelling. It is very important. It is either you know it or you don't know it. I will give you a very little example. Now, spellings in biology can look alike, but they mean separate things entirely. For example, we have pelvis and pelvic. And you may think because it looks so alike, you may think you can use any one. But in actual sense, you can't do that because this actually stands for a separate thing. This also means a separate thing. This has to do with the kidneys, and this has to do with the girdles, so the pelvic girdle. Okay, so that is that. So when it comes to spelling, this is very important. We don't compromise spelling. So spellings like this, when used wrongly, can actually reduce your mark. That is the first thing we have talked about. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is botanical or scientific names. So let's take this. We are done with this. So let's talk about botanical or scientific name. Now, when writing botanical name, we must follow the binomial nomenclature system. And what do I mean by that? It is very important. Let's assume that we need to write botanical name for onions. So that should be Allium cepa. Allium cepa. Now, this is the right way to write botanical names. The general or genus name must start with a capital letter. Meanwhile, the species name must start with a small letter. This is very important. The moment you make a mistake here, you would have a circle, and that's going to be wrong. Okay. Now, after doing that, the next thing that follows is an underline, separate underline. So you underline the word separately. You don't underline at once. That is not right to do. You underline separately. So this is how you write botanical or scientific name in biology. It's very important. Things like this can take away your mark. All right. So the next thing we're going to look at is presentation of points. Presentation of points. Now, nobody would want to look at something that is cumbersome or a lot. So it's very important that when writing biology examination, please go straight to the point. Don't don't go here, go here, go here. If you are asked, for example, describe or explain digestion in the stomach, all you need to do is to state those important enzymes involved in the conversion of this to this and this to this. Explain how it happens. Do not say the food will enter the stomach, it goes to the left, it goes to the right, it does this, it does. No, that is too, it's too cumbersome. Okay? Just go straight to the point. Make your point very clear and you get your mark. Okay, that is that. So we've talked about botanical name and presentation of points. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is drawing techniques. And this is very important. Biology is more of drawings. You cannot write a biology examination without drawings. And that's what I often tell my students. I make sure that they draw a lot in their exams. Okay, so drawings, we're going to talk about drawings in theory and drawings in practical. They are two separate um, ways to draw. Okay, now let's talk about that of the theory. Now, most times when you're asked to draw in theory, you're often given a site. For instance, they can say, draw the diagram of a kidney, size 7 to 9 cm. Okay, so if you're given something like this, what are you expected to do? It is very simple. Get your meter rule, measure on your book, your drawing booklet, measure from 1 cm. Let's assume this point is 1 cm to 9 cm. Okay, so you have 1 cm, 9 cm. Then you also measure from this start of 1 cm to 7 cm. So let's assume here should be 7 cm to 7, 8, 9. Okay, now it's expected that your drawings should not be bigger than 9 cm, and also it should not be smaller than 7 cm. That is what this simply means. All right, so whatever you are drawing, it should not fall, it should not come here. It should not be between here. Whatever you are drawing should start from here, and I hope you get that. So from 1 cm above 7 cm, it can be 8 cm, it can be 8.5 cm, it can be 9 cm, but it should not be more than 9 cm. So everything you are drawing should be between this whole space of 1 to 9 cm. It is very important. And people who mark often measure this diagram. It is very important. And this happens because most students, when you ask them to draw something, they draw something very tiny and you cannot even see what they are drawing. So that is that. Now, the next thing I will talk about is, we said we should draw a kidney, structure of a kidney. And okay, let's do that. Let's assume this is our kidney. Now, drawing the structure of a kidney, let's assume this is the pyramid, just a rough sketch. Now, the first thing you should do when drawing or after drawing is your title. This is very important. As a matter of fact, your title is even more important than your diagram. If you have a beautiful diagram and you don't have a title, that is a a null diagram. So your diagram, even if it's not that beautiful, but it has a title, at least you will get a mark, because there is a mark for a title. Because if you don't write a title, I can assume that this structure is a liver. Meanwhile, you drew a kidney. So titling is very important. And how do you title? It is very simple. So the title after drawing should come beneath. Structure of a mammalian kidney. As simple as that. That is that for the titling. And the next thing we are going to talk about is labeling. Labeling. Now, when labeling, I often tell my students to use meter rule, so it's going to make their work neat. So you don't use, your lines don't get distorted. So you use meter rule, so your line will be straight. So let's assume this is the pelvis of the kidney. Okay, this pyramid, the pyramid. This is the medulla. This is the cortex. Okay, this is the ureter. Now, having drawn this, you saw how I labeled one, some to this other side, some to this other side. No lines should cross each other. You can't label, you can't do this. You label pelvis and you come and label something like this pyramid. It is very wrong. Do not let lines cross each other. Your lines should not cross each other. Okay, so this is how to draw in theory exam. Now, before you draw, make sure your pencils are very sharp. So let your drawing be very neat. Avoid anything shading. We don't shade in biological diagrams. Okay, we our pencils are very should be very sharp so that when you draw, you have clean lines. All right. Now that is that. Now let's look at how we can draw in practicals, because drawing in theory and drawing in practicals, they are different. Now, in practical, when you are asked to draw probably A, specimen A, and let's assume specimen A is um, transverse section of orange, transverse section of orange. What you are expected to do is to draw what you see. That's what I tell my students. It's very important when writing practical exams. Make sure you draw what you can see. Don't draw what is in your head. Don't draw what is in your textbook. Draw what you can see at that point. And this is important because you may not know as a student, but your teachers are made to provide the specimens that they provided for you. So they are made to write down the specimens. So whichever one they used a picture to maybe substitute, they will write that it is a picture I used. Whichever one they had the live specimen, they will write that it's a live specimen. And so if you draw what is in the picture when you had a live specimen there, then that can be a problem. It's very important to draw what you see. So when you have a transverse section of an orange and you want to draw, you should draw what you can see. So this is what you can see on your table. So draw this and label. Draw this and do all the necessary labeling and title. Very important. Draw this, write your title, label. Now, a very important thing you should do is dimension, or I would say size. So when drawing in practical, you must put your size. And how do you get your size? You use your meter rule. You measure the diagram you have drawn on your booklet. Let's assume the diagram you draw on your booklet is 4 cm, right? And you measure the live diagram you have on your table. Okay. So if you measure that, and probably that gives you maybe 2 cm. Now, those two values, what you should do with them is divide. Just divide 4 by 2, and they should give you 1 cm. And so this is the size of your diagram. So this is what you're going to write on your booklets, just by the side times 1, just like that. If you draw in practical and you don't write your size, it will be a problem. Okay. Sorry, this should be 4 divided by 2 is 2, not 1. So this is times 2. Okay. So if they are both 4 cm, 4 cm, it will be 1. So this will be times 1. So whatever you get, make sure you divide. Okay. So when you divide 4 by 2, you get 2 cm, and you put that down there just by the side of your diagram. So these are the important things you should note when writing biology Waec. Okay. So please do want to subscribe to my channel, and I'll be dropping more videos on Waec biology. I'll also be reviewing the specimens for Waec when they are out. Okay. So do well to ask your questions in the comment section. I'll be there to answer, and also share this video to your friends. Okay. So thank you very much and have a successful exam.